everyone, and welcome to Donington Park for round 3 of the SimRacingOnline GT Legends Championship. Good evening to Bill Grucock, who I see has posted the first comment in the YouTube chat, and good evening as well to everyone else joining us. John Smith is here saying morning and then winky face, and we have plenty more loyal viewers on their way, I expect, soon. Donington Park, of course, one of the most modern circuits that we're going to this season, possibly the most modern circuit, because even though it is an old circuit that's been open since the 1930s, it's been updated, and we're currently using the version that's still being used now. Of course, we do have another circuit on the calendar that's like that, which is Virginia International Raceway, which takes place in round 5, but for now we're watching Donington Park. So Tim Muttram sets the benchmark, 137.756. Right, next driver to cross the start finish line we're going to watch an onboard lap with. Right, Lewis DeFore. So up into turn 1, this is known as Redgate, I believe, before heading out through Hollywood. And then downhill, it's very, very steep here, I can tell you that, because I've been there in real life. And this hill is relatively tiring to walk down, but anyway, through the Craner curves, down towards the old hairpin, which jinks to the right. Not really a hairpin at all, not even 90 degrees. And then you head up past the bridge and towards McLaren. I believe that's the name of that corner anyway, I may have completely forgotten. And then you've got Coppice before heading along the back straight. I should search up the corner names actually. I should know them by now. I've been there a couple of times, but anyway, I was right. Oh, it's not McLaren's, it's McLean's. That's turn 7. Then it's Coppice, but turn 8 we're on Starkey Street at the minute, before heading down through the chicane. And then towards one of the most notable features of the modern Donington Park circuit, even though it was also there on the historic layout, and this is the Melbourne hairpin. First gear, I expect, before accelerating up the hill again towards Goddard's, the final corner. And Lewis DeFore's De Tomaso Pantera. Bit of traffic up ahead, but it should be okay as they're heading to the pit lane. And that will be a lap for Lewis DeFore. It's a relatively quick one too, 138.140. Not bad at all. That puts him 3rd place in the early stages of this session. Let's have a look at some of the other cars in this field. This is the Ferrari 365 GTB, as driven by Lorenzo Galuzzi. And after the first couple of rounds of the series, Galuzzi is 8th place in the championship, yet to score a podium. And looking for a better result today. Fairly quick so far. In terms of the championship, the drivers to look out for: Davide Ricciardi, 7th in the qualifying session so far, although 1st in the championship by 1 point ahead of Tim Muttram, who himself is 1 point ahead of Phil Brown. So the top 3 in the championship, separated by pretty much nothing. It's very, very close, with little to choose between them at all. Then it's Laurent Glons and Lewis DeFore, the top 5, before Shaba Lacco, Jos Ogos, Lorenzo Galuzzi, John van der Geest, and Mark Johnson, as Galuzzi finishes another lap, but does not improve. Who should we have a look at next? Let's have a look at Phil Brown, since he has one of the flat Porsche 906s, and he's also in the very last sector of the course, coming through the final corner at Goddard, and he's about to set a flying lap. So Phil Brown, 3rd in the championship, 2nd in the order. And that is not an improvement. He was a long way down there, so I believe he was just setting up for a lap. So let's watch this. 8 minutes to go in the session. Still plenty of time to go quicker. Runs very, very wide indeed at turn 1. Not sure how much time he's going to lose for that, whether he's going to have lost his lap over that or not. But anyway, good evening to Andrew Williams as well, who has just joined us in the YouTube chat. Good to see you here, Andrew. We have a cracker of an event here today for you. 18 drivers currently on track. And, well, apart from the 3 in the pit lane, but anyway, potentially some more to come as well. And actually, I'm not sure if Phil Brown is going to improve on this lap. Ooh, he won't be after getting over the curb like that. I think he's probably just pushing to go back to the pits, since you have to get back to the pits in order to be allowed to set another lap. Let's see if we can find another car. Here's one. This is Mark Johnson. He's in a BMW CSL. It's one of the largest cars in the field. Very big car compared to especially the Porsche, which is just flat. The BMW makes it look like a dwarf. Of course, there are many jokes about the modern BMW M8 being the largest car in the world, although really, for its time, the CSL wasn't exactly skinny. However, lots of power and lots of grunt mean it's great at acceleration. Not so good at straight line speed towards the end of the straights especially, although Donington, you don't really have many long straights, so that doesn't matter too much. Kicking it slightly sideways through the Melbourne hairpin, that can sometimes be the best thing to do actually, because it allows you to get the power down, providing you don't get too much slipstream, and that can help you with accelerating, sorry, as I've got the hiccups, up the hill. But anyway, we'll see how that's worked for Johnson. No improvement, couple of tenths of a second down. He goes on to another run in his BMW. We do have a few other cars rather. Here you have Shaba Lacker. He has a Nissan Skyline, which is one of the other cars that we haven't seen yet, although of course you have seen it now. And do we have a Corvette today? What's Jos Ogos driving? He's in a Shelby Daytona, which is another car that we haven't seen. I'll look for a better example of a Shelby Daytona, one that's on track. Struggling to find one of those so far, but anyway, we do have a Shelby Daytona in the form of Jos Ogos. Not sure if we're going to have a Corvette. Previously, of course, the Corvette's been driven by Donny Yorth, although I don't see him here today yet. So I'm not sure whether Yorth is going to be turning up or not, but I expect him to be the only Corvette if indeed he does turn up. Also waiting for a few other people yet to set their laps. Improvement there in 10th position for Stefan Lagodin in the BMW. And Davide Ricciardi now sets second, so Davide Ricciardi goes P2 with a 1:37.514. That's his best lap so far, and that means that the top three are now separated by just over half a second. Davide Ricciardi there, quick lap, slots in between Muttram and Brown, and that means that the top three in the championship are the top three in the session, not in the same order. And wow, that was a wonderful line from Ricciardi there through the old hairpin. Sliding it sideways. That's what you call an all-wheel drift. It's not out of control, and it's not scrubbing off too much speed. Look at that! That's all-wheel drifting to the maximum there. Possibly scrubbing off a bit more speed than you would have hoped through McLaren's. But yeah, that's often the tactic in these cars. Loads and loads of curb at Coppers. I'm not sure this will be his quickest lap, actually. He's appeared to get... I think he's been scrubbing off a little bit too much speed in this sector, cutting the chicane there. Luckily for him, we don't have stewards that are looking out for that, but anyway. Of course, if you cut it too much, you end up in the gravel, so it doesn't end up aiding you at all, and as a result, everyone's in the same boat here, to an extent. Davide Ricciardi now through the final corner, and I don't think this is going to improve on his lap, unless I'm very much mistaken. Very nearly gets through the grass, keeps it under control, and he's a long way down on his lap actually, so no improvement for Ricciardi that time around. Phil Brown is going for an improvement. Lewis DeFore goes third now. What can Brown do about him? Down through the Crane of Curse he goes. You see how stable the Porsche is through there. Bit of understeer actually. If you look at the front wheels, they don't appear to be going in the direction that he... Well, the car doesn't appear to be going in the direction that he wants it to, rather. Possibly needs a little bit more... I don't think he's got any toe on the rear wheels, actually. They look dead straight to me. Ooh, and he runs wide. Not sure he ran quite into the gravel. He ran out onto the dirty part, but certainly didn't dig in or bog down. He may still have a lap here. But yeah, that's certainly not going to help matters. Defoe, Lons, Galuzzi and Johnson are all in the pits. I'm not sure if they're going to get another chance to set a lap, or if they're even going to try to set another lap. If they will, they probably need to get out of the pits now. So they need to make sure they've got everything set up and get out there if they can. Phil Brown down into the Melbourne hairpin. I have fond memories of sitting there back at the first time I ever visited a race meeting in real life. It was World Series by Renault back in 2005, and yeah, I was down at that hairpin. Not too many memories of that, of course, because I was 3, but anyway, I do still remember some of it. Phil Brown, yeah, long way down in his lap. That will be partly because of getting into the gravel. But surely he will start to attack for this next lap. It will be his last chance. Very wide, and actually kicks it over to the right-hand side of the circuit. He'd have lost a lot of momentum for that. Kept the throttle in, so I think he's still hopeful of a lap. Cuts the old chicane. But it's not looking good here for Phil Brown. Still, 4th place will be nothing to be sniffed at. Certainly not a bad position to start in, and we've seen Brown coming through from further back in the past. Still yet to, actually no, I was going to say still yet to win a race, although of course he won last time out at Sherrard. A dominant win at that. Interestingly, I've been wondering whether there was going to be a fuel limitation applied to the Porsche to make sure that it had to make a pit stop, although I don't think that has been applied, unless I'm very much mistaken. I was talking about that last time as well, but it just didn't happen. Whether you're a fan of that or not is up to you, but anyway, I'm not here to spark controversy or anything. Phil Brown coming around the final corner now, looking to get into the top 3, but now he's going into the pit, so that's the end for Phil Brown. Paul Anstey, let's look at this. Oh, look at that tripoding, and that's because he's actually braking to abandon his lap rather. Jari Lakkinen can only go 11th. Lagodin is abandoning his lap as well, and partly got in the way of one of the Ferraris. You also got sliding the tail out in the Shelby Daytona. Wooden steering wheel, proper American brutish muscle, and a very, very deep sounding engine. Up the hill he goes. On the brakes in the Shelby, not great. It's a very heavy car, and when you slow it down from that speed it's tricky, and he goes into the pit, so I'm not sure that we are going to get another driver setting a fast lap. We've got 19 drivers have set laps. That's a very good grid size. We're looking here at Paul Upham in the Ferrari 365, and will he head into the pits, or is he going to try to improve his position of 15th on the grid? Out of the final corner, he is going to look for an improvement. Does find an improvement, but doesn't jump up the order. So that's the end of the session, and it's Tim Muttram on pole, followed by Davide Ricciardi, Lewis Defoe, Phil Brown, Laurent Lons, Lorenzo Galuzzi, Mark Johnson, Paul Anstey, Tony Talviti, then John Van der Gies. Good to see Talviti here, actually. He was on the reserve list for the day, and yeah, it's good that he got out on track. He was actually, I think, the last driver to set a flying lap. Oh wow, no, he's not actually. He's classified twice, in 15th and in 9th, so that's weird. But anyway, it's Lakkinen in 11th, followed by Lagodin, Martikainen, Ogos, then not Talviti because he is 9th. It will be Upham in 15th, followed by Lacko, Dumanas, Drake, and Darga. And did anyone else set a lap? No. So we have 19 laps, 19 drivers setting laps, and do we have anyone else in the server? No, just me. So, sadly, no Corvettes today. Also, no Ford Capri, but that's been the case for the entire series so far. But yeah, it is a shame to not see the Corvette today. They haven't exactly been popular. But anyway, we're getting prepared for the start of the race. It's a 1 hour long race in tricky cars on a tricky circuit. Donington Park, difficult to overtake on, so these drivers are going to have to get creative with their overtakes, just as they did back at the Highland circuit. And if they can hold position and not make too many mistakes, then they should be okay. There are overtaking opportunities. Redgate is one. You also have occasionally the old hairpin if you're brave, although that's very, very difficult. You have the chicane, you have the Melbourne hairpin, and you have Goddard. Anyway, we're preparing for the start of the race. Remember, it's Muttram on the front row of the grid alongside Ricciardi. And Dufour and Brown chasing them into turn 1. Lauren Lance was also within 9/10 of a second of them, so he could be close as well. If you want to, if you're enjoying this series rather, and you want to get involved, you can head to SimRacingOnline.co.uk and sign up for any of our events. We have race on Assetto Corsa, R-Factor 2, R-Factor 1, Automobilista, Project Cars 2, Race 07, and more as well. Actually, not Project Cars 2, ignore me. Also, Assetto Corsa Competizioni. Anyway, the red lights are about to come on and then extinguish. And then we will be underway for this 1 hour race at Donington Park in the UK. And it's go! Away we go. The drivers heading towards turn 1, and we will be able to see them as soon as they trigger a timing beam. Will it be Tim Muttram leading through the first sector? I think it will be. No, Davide Ricciardi, and Ricciardi runs away. He briefly took the lead heading into to Redgate and then ran wide on the exit, and Tim Muttram has gone straight back through. So Muttram leads, followed by Ricciardi, then Dufour, Lons, Brown and Johnson. That's how they stand heading down towards the... And look at Muttram getting very sideways and holding it just. That looked a little bit more sideways than he would have liked, but he's kept it under control. Brown's lost a couple of places, but he is okay. And everyone makes it through the first couple of corners. Alright, that is good to see. No collisions, no drama. And now we're heading up towards Coppice and then towards the back straight. Brown's lost a place. Johnson through to 5th. Johnson over the curb, runs very wide. And Brown's going to come back at him here as they head towards the straight. How much drag does the Porsche have? Turns out the BMW is pulling away. And here comes the Ferrari of Galuzzi. Galuzzi up the inside. They've got Anstey right behind them as well, trying to get into the mix. And we've got another Ferrari. Upham getting a bit sideways there. He'll have lost some time, possibly dropping to the back. No, he stayed ahead of Dumanas in all of that. Out of the hairpin for the first time, Talviti losing places, and Lakinen's had a spin, has he? Ooh, he's got very sideways. He's lost plenty of positions, 3 places to be precise in all of that, but has managed to keep the car just about pointing in the right direction. He's currently in 12th position. Towards the end of the first lap now, Muttram starting to get away. Then it's Ricciardi and Dufour still fighting over second position with Lauren Lons. And positions changing in the background as they went towards turn 1. Everyone through the first lap cleanly. That is a fantastic first lap. I must admit, I wasn't expecting that at Donington Park, but luckily that has been the case. Jos Ergos there has got past Tony Talviti, and Talviti there in a I haven't seen that livery of Shelby Tony yet. That's a new one, and a very nice white livery with a navy blue stripe. Lorenzo Galuzzi now up into 6th. Brown's had a bump over the grass, and he is now dropped to 8th. So Anstey through to 7th now. And Brown, the winner of last time out, has dropped to P8. And remember, of course, as Galuzzi runs wide and maybe under attack from Anstey, remember, of course, we will have a mandatory pit stop later on. Well, not a mandatory pit stop, but we'll have a pit stop for most of these drivers, if not all of them, later on in the race. The Porsche possibly can go the full distance. It could at the first 2 rounds, so I don't see any reason why it couldn't here, but of course, that may end up being a disadvantage. It really depends on how the drivers play this strategy and how much clean air they get. Talviti had a little off. Also, Lackinen had a little loss of time as well. There's a big gaggle of cars in the background there. Look at Galuzzi now. Galuzzi going for Johnson. And not quite managing to make it stick. So Johnson still 5th at the end of the 2nd lap of the race. Everyone setting their best laps so far, of course, as the first lap was from a standing start. That's to be expected. Down through the Craner curves again. Galuzzi a little bit wide, little bit out of shape. And Anstey gets a much better run. He can possibly duck underneath Galuzzi coming out of the old hairpin. He certainly had the better choice of lines. And was able to benefit from it, but not enough. Didn't get past Galuzzi, and of course if you don't get past your rival, then it's all for nothing. You end up being held up with them. And Anstey and Galuzzi probably both lost quite a bit of time there through that sector. Johnson also dropping back with them. They've lost 3 seconds now to Laurent Lons ahead, so there's been a bit of a gap forming. The top 4 appear to all be in clean air now, and it's all about this battle for 5th place. We've got Johnson, Galuzzi, Anstey, Brown, Ogos, all going for 4th down to 9th, 5th down to 9th, sorry. Down into the hairpin. Brown very close to the rear bumper of Anstey's car. Actually, I'm not sure if you can say that the Shelby has a rear bumper. It certainly doesn't look like it, but anyway, swapping places. That's 11th place, Talviti and Martikainen side by side, and Martikainen gets through on the inside there. Locks the brake though. Talviti ducks to the inside, does he? Not quite. Martikainen a little bit sideways on the exit. That looked to be a good move from Martikainen there. Gained advantage of the direction of the circuit, as you have to do on tracks where it's difficult to overtake. And he's up into the top 10. Of course, it's not just the top 10 that score points in this, it's all finishing positions, but the higher up the order you finish, the better, obviously, and the more points you score. Getting closer again between Dufour and Lons for that 3rd position. The gap came out, but it's come straight back in again. That may be something to watch as Talviti takes another little look at Martikainen, and he's spooked him. Martikainen making a very slight mistake, but again, keeping it under control. A little bit wide at Coppice, a little bit of a mid-corner twitch, a little bit of a correction. And actually, 2nd, 3rd and 4th all got much closer again, so that's all come straight back in again. Oh, and through the gravel goes Martikainen. Talviti will surely have a run here. He goes around the outside of Martikainen and up into P10. Now Martikainen's not still there in the braking zone, so Talviti gets it back, but he runs wide, very wide. Martikainen's still alongside him on the exit, but he will be on the outside. That's a difficult line. And he has to concede to Talviti. There was really nothing more he could do there. As Lackinen and Van der Geest fight in the background. You've got Martikainen and Lagodin sandwiched between them as well, rather uncomfortably. Martikainen now under attack from Lagodin more than he is attacking Talviti, so Talviti might use this opportunity to try to get away. I'm not sure how much practice he's had. I'm not sure he actually knew he was going to be in the race this morning, as he was only on the reserve list. But due to some drivers pulling out of the race, Donny Yorth and some others, he was allowed to start. Bit of a lunge from one of the Panteras there. Salviti running a little bit wide. And that would have been Lackinen. Lackinen really hounding that BMW, not giving him a chance to attack Martikainen in front. Now here's the straight. Oh, as Lons has gone up to third, has he? They're side by side, he's locking up. And Dufour keeps it. There was definitely a fight going into the corner, and look at that now. Dufour got a poor exit. They're still side by side, heading up towards Goddard. And this is all about battle of the late breakers. Can Lons get a switchback? Maybe not there, but Dufour's got very slidey mid-corner. Manages to keep it out of the grass. That's tough to do when you start sliding there. The temptation is to completely level out the steering and run the car wide. But Dufour, better than that, holds third position for the time being. Very different lines through the Craners. Dufour clearly trying to set himself up for the old hairpin. And these two, of course, have been rivals in single-seaters. And now, of course, in this as well, the Grand Prix, the GT Legends pack. They are 4th and 5th in the championship, 3rd and 4th in the race. Now, Lons is actually ahead of Dufour in the championship, so Dufour will be pretty keen to hold him back here. There's only 5 points in it. And if it does end up being a three-way championship fight between Ricciardi, Muttram and Brown, like I expect it may end up being, then this would effectively be the battle for best of the rest. Look at that! Lons did well not to run straight into the back of Dufour. And now he's taking it to the inside, and he's found it! He's found the inside at Goddard! And through he goes! Excellent move from Laurent Lons. Excellent move. He just kept forcing his nose there until Dufour thought he was safe, and he wasn't. Now look in the background as we've got Galuzzi. Well, he was briefly challenging Johnson. Johnson keeps P5. But yeah, fantastic move from Laurent Lons. He's got through into 3rd place. Now what can Louis Dufour do about it in the identically liveried Pantera? Annoying that they're identically liveried as they're not in the same team. Lons is racing for G.E.A.R, or Gear, whereas Dufour is a privateer. There is a team's championship, although I'm not entirely sure how it works. And sadly, a lot of the teams only have one driver. Top of that at the minute is Gear, which of course fields Lons and his friend John van der Geest. And then you have Hiki Waza, which is fielding Tim Muttram. Oh, and Dufour's got off. Dufour's in the gravel. And Johnson's running wide in the background as well. This could give Galuzzi a chance. So it's all kicking off now, and Galuzzi goes through to P5. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And now Ogos passing Brown as well for 9th position. So Brown, or for 8th position rather. So Brown having a terrible time at the minute. And they all pile into the hairpin. Brown kicks out the tail end. I wonder if the track's just not suiting him, maybe. But, yeah, Dufour ran very, very wide. And Johnson also ran wide in the background. So, on to another lap of racing. What can Brown do about gaining these positions back? He's 9th place at the minute, despite being 3rd in the championship, only 2 points off the championship leader. He's losing plenty of points to both Muttram and Ricciardi. All the while he spends behind these drivers. And ahead of him he has Galuzzi, Johnson and Stianogos. It's the fight for 5th position overall. I'm very worried about the Melbourne chicane, because last lap they all just seemed to pile into it, forgetting what order they were in. And I'm not entirely sure if the same order came out of it, but yeah, when you have so many different cars taking so many different lines and braking zones, it can be tough, especially since the exits are so important and so difficult here at Donington Park. It really means you can throw yourself alongside another car on the entry or exit of the corner, and probably surprise them with either move. Here comes that hairpin, and Orgos took a slightly wider line than Brown. Brown not quite able to get alongside him. Orgos actually got a better run than Anstey that time around. And the Shelbys are side by side towards Goddard. And will that allow Brown at the inside? Well, it does. Oh! Oh, I thought that Orgos was going to pull right across the front of Brown there. Although luckily they didn't have an overlap. I thought they might have done. That was a little bit worrying. Orgos ran the outside. Oh, and Anstey's lost it and he's into Brown! Anstey lost control and Brown had nowhere to go. And they've come together. And Brown's gone through to 8th. Anstey 9th. Whoa! And that's going to be close again. Now, was that Brown waiting for Anstey? Did he maybe think that he was at fault? I'm not sure either car has damage. I wonder if Brown thought he was at fault there. I personally don't think he was, but I'm not a steward. Well, I am a steward, but not in this particular race. Yeah, I don't see what Brown felt guilty about there, if indeed he did. But anyway, now he's going to try to make the move cleanly. And slightly wide runs Anstey now. I should say as well, I don't think it's Brown's fault, but I also don't think that Anstey, I don't think we should be too hard on him. It's an easy mistake to make. Now look at him. Ooh, cutting the corner slightly to keep the place from Brown, and now Brown's under attack from Talviti. Talviti, he's going to get him here, is he? Ooh, and they touch wheels, and Brown's off the road. Brown's slithering. Does he keep it out to the barrier? When he's in the gravel does its job at slowing the car down nicely. But he's going to lose a place to Lackinen as well. He's going to rejoin the field. Luckily, everyone avoids him. But that was an interesting one. Sadly, I can't go back to look at a replay, but yeah, they just banged wheels down the straight there. And Brown was forced onto the grass, which has such a horrible braking disadvantage compared to the tarmac. Brown will be really confused as to why he's down in 12th position. Of course, he knows he's just had that collision, but even so, he was only running 9th. And for the driver, whoa, who won last time out, that's a little bit disappointing. It may be that the track doesn't suit the Porsche either, because Dumanis isn't having a good day in the other Porsche. He's down in 19th position as it stands. So yeah, I wonder whether it, I wonder whether the track maybe doesn't suit the Porsche, whether the Porsche prefers the older, hillier, more classic circuits, like the last one we went to, which was of course the Charade circuit in France, like the Highland circuit, which was the first one of the year. And in that case, the next one should suit him, because in 2 weeks' time we will be going to the Nürburgring, which of course is one of the most famous older style circuits still in use. It's an old school track. As Brown locks up slightly. It's an old school track, but it's still very much in use, and I'm sure a lot of drivers will be very much looking forward to going there and showing what they can do. Oh, Brown up the inside of Matikainen. Matikainen, I think, is going to keep that with the acceleration. Drivers setting their personal best laps of the race. Johnson was flying that last time around. He's trying to catch up to the back of Galuzzi again. 2 weeks out of the Nürburgring, we have Virginia, followed by Kalaburgi, which is a track that I don't know about. I have to look that up before then. And then for the final round of the championship, we head back to the Nürburgring. Although with that one, it will be the Südstrecke, or the South Circuit, which is the demolished circuit that used to exist on the south side of the venue before the Grand Prix circuit, or Grand Prix tracker, was built to replace it. That's how the rest of the championship lines up. Of course, today we're at Donington Park. Probably the most modern circuit on the calendar, and as a result, it was always bound to deliver some slightly unusual results, slightly shaken up racing. And we've certainly seen that today with Brown really struggling down in just 12th position. Now, last lap we saw that Johnson was flying. This lap I'm not entirely sure it's been his cleanest. I don't think it will be his fastest. Yeah, not quite. Nice try though. And actually is just a second behind Lorenzo Galuzzi. It's very close, but as they say, no cigar. What about Brown? He's still attacking Martikainen over 11th place. Not very many points at all. Ooh, that was close. Martikainen didn't get a good run through that corner, and as a result, Brown didn't either. Because you really can't get through there. Your opponent on the outside. Oh, well, that was a weird line through the craner, but anyway, your opponent on the outside line is always going to get the better grip, the better acceleration, unless they're flat out sideways or in the grass or gravel. But anyway, Martikainen putting up a good show of defence. Doesn't get the best exits to corners, but gets enough of one to keep Brown behind him. And that Skyline just seems so planted in general. Massive rear wing on the back, generating, I wouldn't say a lot of downforce, but definitely more than these other cars have got. And he's run wide and through on the inside now. And we've had an error for Johnson. Yeah, I think he's just had a quick slide on the exit of the Melbourne hairpin because he's been passed by Jos Ogos there. And as I said that, we missed the remainder of the move, but Phil Brown did pull a move on Lackinen, and I think we all know how, seeing the start of that move. Sorry, Martikainen, not Lackinen. Lackinen is his next target in the Pantera there, 10th position. But yeah, change of 6th on that lap as well, as I said. Ogos ahead of Johnson. And those two aren't necessarily fighting in the championship. Actually, I think they are, because Ogos, he's 7th on 44 points, but Johnson only 10th on 36. It's a very early race in the championship. We're nearly at the halfway point, of course, but still relatively early. We've only had 2 rounds. Tim Muttram, meanwhile, has built up a lead of 10.5 seconds. Very, very impressive. Surely he's going to be reaching lap traffic soon, which could be another added complication. Tony Talviti is really getting into it now. He's got it to the back of Paul Anstey. Oh, it's wide again what runs Johnson there. He's not feeling too confident with his car at the minute. But yeah, Talviti closer to Johnson than he's been for a while. I really love that livery on the Daytona. That's like proper Daytona livery. Almost reminds me of Herbie. Oh, as I think Johnson just ran wide a little bit. Yeah, not close. Not wide enough for Anstey's liking. Or Talviti's for that matter. He would love for Anstey to get stuck in with Johnson's fight here. If he can sneak past both of them and get away. Often you do that. Often racing your opponent isn't necessarily about what you can do against them, but how you can benefit from what your opponent can do against them. You often see drivers boxing in others, much like Anstey would have been vulnerable to that if he had put himself on the outside of Johnson. and he knows it. Up towards Coppice now. Tony Talviti wheels over the curb, tripoding, rear right in the air. Cars do that in real life too, I can confirm. I've been to that corner, and touring cars especially tend to cock up their rear wheel through that. But I don't think I've ever seen a sports car do it before. These classic sports cars really are something else. And it's fantastic to see them racing here on SimRacingOnline. Still in use. John van der Geest now has got past Stefan Lagodin on that lap. Up to P13 in the Ferrari. Lagodin down to P14 in the BMW. Has a 10-second advantage over up and behind, so there's a little bit of a gap, a little bit of a margin for error. Now, Talviti may still be on the back of Anstey. We've also got Brown now, just about to break into the top 10 potentially if Lakinen's not careful. And maybe even if he is, we know that Brown's very quick. As I said, won last time out. It was his first SimRacingOnline victory, so possibly gave him a bit of a boost, or at least I would have thought it would have done. But he's not having a good day so far today. Race 1, of course, was won by Davide Ricciardi, championship leader. And Tim Muttram, who's second in the championship and first in the race, is the only one of the top 3 yet to score a win. But that looks as if it might change today. He's almost 12 seconds out in front. Of course, he has won races with SimRacingOnline before. Plenty of them, for that matter. But this will be his first of this particular series. He also asked for more onboard, so yeah, let's go on board with Tony Talviti as he chases down Paul Anstey and Johnson. Excuse me. You see, Johnson's really not stable on the brakes. Neither was Anstey into that corner, but Johnson, he tends to run wide mid-corner. But because of just how planted that BMW is, he always gets the better exit nonetheless. Yeah, look at that, runs slightly wide mid-corner. Just seems a little bit uncomfortable, but always gets the hang of it. Always gets it back where he wants it. Except, of course, that time where he ran off earlier in the race and allowed Galuzzi through to 5th. So, after 25 minutes of this race, it's Muttram leading from Ricciardi, Lons, Defour, Galuzzi, Ogos, Johnson, Anstey, Talviti just behind Anstey, fighting for 8th. Then Lakkinen and Brown fighting for 10th. Talviti might have a little run here on Anstey. I don't think it's going to be enough though. Martikainen is 12th, Van der Geest is 13th. Then it's Lagodin as Talviti takes a look. Tries to force Anstey into a mistake. Anstey slightly cuts the chicane but gets away with it. After Lagodin, it's Upham and Darga. Lacquer. Who is Dra? That is Sid Drake. And then Vasilis Dimalis. And Brown gets up to P10, does he? He's on the outside of Lakkinen. Going for the switchback, you can tell. I'm not sure it's going to work. He turned in a little bit too early. But yeah, you can tell that was a very early or a very close attempt at being successful. Very nearly worked. I thought it had done for a split second. But yeah, still in P11 there is Phil Brown in the Porsche. The top place for 2 Porsches. Ooh, as Lakkinen gets sideways. Good save from Lakkinen there. Got well and truly over the grass. And now Phil Brown is on top of him almost, and he's in the grass again, goes Lakkinen. Lakkinen gets it under control, but yeah, that could have been very, very hairy indeed. It's difficult to steer when you're out there, but Phil Brown goes through to 10th position. So Brown back up into the top 10, and Lackinen down to 11th. And that all started really with Lackinen's mistake in the Craners. Just unsettled him and set him up badly for the old hairpin, which set him up badly for the run up to McLean's. So, Lewis DeFore now, less than a second behind Laurent Lons again. And his last lap was almost 0.4 of a second faster in the fight for third. Might have a look at that in a little bit. I'm also really interested in this fight between Talviti and Anstey. I'm surprised that nothing's happened yet. But they seem nicely under control, especially Anstey. Not getting too angsty. Keeping the car pointing in the right direction. And maintaining that 8th position for the time being. Almost halfway through our race now. Pit stops will soon be upon us rather. And it will be time to see who has the advantage truly. Now, even if the Porsche didn't have to pit in this race, I still think Brown will probably end the pit stages. Maybe third, possibly second if he's lucky. Actually, probably second. I don't think he'd be leading though. And that may well be why Muttrum's pushing so hard now. He fears the Porsche's fuel consumption. The Porsche's low fuel consumption. That would make sense actually, if he feels that he's in a race with Brown. I don't think he is though. If Highlands was anything to go by, I really don't think he is. So, half an hour now gone on the timer. Half an hour still to go in this race. Muttrum still leads, and his gap is 15 seconds. This is turning into a dominant victory for Tim Muttrum. He's had plenty of dominant victories with us so far. With SimRacingOnline, as Lackinen pits. Phil Brown, of course, has only won one race with SimRacingOnline, and that was last time out. Although Tim Muttrum has won plenty. He won races in... actually, I think he's won races in every... yeah, every SimRacingOnline series that he's entered, except for this one. And that looks to be about to change too. So Tim Muttrum, very, very competitive driver. Ranked second overall in the sports car rankings. He has 2 championships to his name. The Alfa Romeo 33 Stradale Campionato. Sorry to the Italians. And the Porsche 718 Classic Tour, as well as taking victories in the Abarth 500 AC Club Challenge, GPL McLaren M2B Challenge, and F1 Classic Series 2. And yeah, I would be very surprised if he doesn't score a race victory in this series. And today as well. 16 seconds out in front is now his gap. And we're still watching Lons versus DeFore. Actually, no, we're not, because Lagardin, Uphill, and Van der Geest appear to be almost 3 wide into to Goddard. Lagardin runs wide, Van der Geest goes through. So Uphill 12th, Van der Geest 13th, Lagardin 14th. The Ferrari was just able to turn in much better for that final corner, wasn't it? The BMW didn't look too comfortable through there, did Stefan Lagardin? Down the hill, through the craners towards Old Hairpin. There it goes. So, this fight over 12th position. Not worth too many points, but for some drivers it's going to mean a lot, especially come series end. Means even more for third place, of course. The difference between third and fourth, 33 to 30 points, so 3 points as a whole, but those are 3 points that your rivals can't get, so they end up being more valuable than you first think. Jos Ogos is in the pits from 6th position. Now, does he come out in traffic, or is he okay? I think he'll be in the pits for a little while as he refuels. I'll keep you updated on that when he comes out. Battle is still going on, of course, between Upham and Van der Geest for P12. And Ogos, I think, might exit the pits just in front of them. Yes, he does. So Ogos exits the pits and no traffic, so that's exactly what he wanted there. That was a good time to pit for Jos Ogos. And I'm sure that the others will be following suit in no time flat. This time around, probably for a lot of them. Wouldn't be surprised if DeFore ducks in before Lons here. He's got less to lose, and he's also in need of a bit of a strategy twist. A bit of a, I don't know, something to spice up his race, although he doesn't pit, so DeFore stays out. There's no official pit window either. You can pit at any time. In the YouTube comments, we have Bill G says Andrew with plenty of W's. Andrew Williams says Davide Fan Club is here. Jolly good. Davide Ricciardi currently doing a good job in 2nd position. And Flyby74 says Galuzzi with a picture of a blue car. So I think we have a Galuzzi fan here as well. And Galuzzi's running pretty well as well. P5 for Lorenzo, which will be his best result of the season so far if he is to finish in that place. Martikainen also in the pits now. John Van der Geest making his stop. You have to swap all 4 tyres, and I think also put in at least 1 litre of fuel. Most drivers put in more to make sure they can get to the end of the race, obviously, but 1 litre is the absolute minimum. So, a couple of stoppers down the back as well. Drake's in, Lacko is in, and they will be out and on their way in no time. Meanwhile, Tony Talviti, I think, may have made a mistake somewhere, because he's now dropped a long way behind Brown, and Phil Brown now gets past Anstey. I'm not sure exactly what happened to Talviti, sorry. Had a quick brain freeze there, or not brain freeze, but brain fart, as I was trying to think of what to say. Mark Johnson into the pits in the BMW, so that's his first stop, or his only stop, as we're only expecting the drivers to stop once today, and I expect he will come out in pretty clean air. That depends on whether that Shelby gets past or not, doesn't it? And that Shelby is Jos Ogos, who jumps him. I'm pretty sure that Jos Ogos was behind Mark Johnson before all of the pit stops. And now they've swapped places again, so Ogos back ahead of Johnson. In fact, is that the first time this race he's been ahead of Johnson? I think it might be. Good strategy call from Ogos anyway. And he has provisional 9th place. Of course, later on in the race, the order becomes a lot more reliable as strategies even out and compare with each other. But as I said, for now it matters that Ogos is through to 9th and Johnson down to 10th. Over the crest of the hill again towards the chicane that everyone seems to be pretty much ignoring today. But I suppose again they're all in the same boat, and I can't say that I've never cut that chicane before, so it's okay. Paul Anstey now into the pits. Now, he's been in the wars all day and already leaving the pits as well, so not losing too much time. And he's going to come well ahead of Ogos and Johnson. That's a nice shot, that. Through turn 1, over the blue curb. And down towards the Craner curves again. And that is very much what you think of when you think of Daytona Shelby, that colour scheme there. It's legendary, and it's being fielded today by Paul Anstey, who I'm sure will want to do it justice. Sorry, just taking a quick drink of water as I watch Johnson and Ogos going at it for 9th position there. Separated by less than 4/10 of a second. Laurent Lons now into the pits. Came in before Defoe. Interesting to see. Possibly trying to cover him off. Maybe thought that Defoe was going to logically pit first. And thought, well, if I pit first, firstly, you don't end up in my face in the pit lane. And secondly, I get another lap on fresh tyres. So that's what Lons is doing. He recovers to the race ahead of Phil Brown. Again, not as far ahead as I would have thought, but fairly ahead. Talviti into the pits as well, from 7th position. We've had a move between Lagodin and Upham. So Lagodin getting past Upham with 19.5 minutes remaining on the clock now. Hello to Chi Quit in the YouTube chat saying, come on, Def. Who's Def? DEF. Oh, not entirely sure who that is, but anyway. Vandegee's now passing Dumanas as well for 15th position. Not sure Dumanas has made a stop yet, but then again, I'm not sure that Vandegeest has either. Haven't been keeping much track of anywhere outside of the top 10 today. Sorry about that. It's just that the early stages of this race were very, very hectic, and since then, of course, it's all been about the strategy of it, and really the top 10 have been the only challengers, even though there is a big gap between Muttram and Ricciardi, and then another big gap between several other members. Lewis Dufour is in from 3rd, so Lewis Dufour into the pits. Now, where does he exit? Lots of traffic, or nice clean sunshine. I'd say rush hour traffic, because rush hour, of course, doesn't exist anymore, so I can't really, but anyway. Now he's going to come out behind Phil Brown. So Dufour, I think, lost quite a bit of pace and time with that. Because he was fighting with Lons before. Now the human can't really catch him. And yet he's ahead anyway somehow. Did I just make any sense with that sentence? I feel like yeah. My apologies. I'm kind of falling asleep. These engine notes are very relaxing. But anyway, Martikainen there. Passing Dumanas. Now Martikainen has stopped. Still waiting for Tim Muttram. I'm pretty sure that Muttrum's going to stop. He's in a BMW, so he should. Also, Phil Brown yet to stop, but we're not sure if he will, due to him being in a Porsche. Galuzzi yet to stop. Ricciardi yet to stop. And Lons, I think, is yet to stop. No, he's not, actually. Where is he? No, he has stopped. Never mind, ignore me. It's just the top 3 plus Brown that are still yet to come in. Apologies for completely waffling away that sentence just now. I genuinely have no idea what I said. But anyway. So, Lons there. Don't worry about the car he's just gone past. That is a lapped car. That would be Sid Drake. We let him through nicely. That's always good to see. I always knew that lap traffic would come into play in this race, and it would be a part of it, as it's a relatively short track compared to the others. And we do have quite a large and widespread grid, which is always a recipe for, I wouldn't say a recipe for disaster, but definitely a recipe for a rather chaotic race, a race that leans on the chaotic side. But yeah, I very much like that kind of race. It's nice and relaxing to follow. Again, very sweet engine notes on these cars. If you listen to them as they go past, I know I've turned the sound down a bit. I did that so you can hear me, but oh, as Drake's had a spin, that recovers. And credit to him for not coming straight back into the side of Defoe's car. But yeah, if you listen to the engine notes, you can hear some very nice V8s and louder. Not entirely sure exactly what all of these cars have, but yeah, very, very nice. Almost endurance racing sounds, I think, especially with the Pantera. And I can imagine it's much more lively inside the car, but outside it, it's rather nice. It really is. So, with just under 15 minutes of this race to go now, Tim Muttram leads, followed by Davide Ricciardi. Then it's Lorenzo Galuzzi, Laurent Lons, Phil Brown, Lewis Defoe, Paul Anstey, Tony Talviti, Jos Ogos, who's Johnson? Mark Johnson. Then we have Stefan Legoden. Then Paul Upham. Something, is it Jari? Yeah, Jari Lackinen. Followed by Philip Dauger, John van der Geest, Kimi Martikainen. And then Vasilis Doumanas, Saba Lacko, and Sid Drake. That's the order, and it's amazing and fantastic to see every car still running in this race at this point. It's been a very, very clean one. A couple of little spins, couple of minor offs, but aside from that, that's about it. And I hope I'm not cursing anything. I don't think I am, but anyway. Just 13.5 minutes to go. Tim Muttram can sense the victory. He's 21.2 seconds ahead of anyone else. Ricciardi then has a huge gap, even larger gap in fact, back to Galuzzi in third place. Laurent Lons right on the back of Lorenzo Galuzzi. Phil Brown trying to follow them from a distance, but Lewis Defoe getting a little bit feisty these last couple of laps. Let's watch. Oh, Lons is off. Lons is off. He's on the grass. Back on the road. Doesn't lose a place, but yeah, that could have been a close one. That was a close one. That could have been much worse. He could have tried to... often if you try to brake on the grass, the car can just snap around or understeer off. Luckily, he was wise to that, but yeah, still. It's a little mistake there from Laurent Lons. And Phil Brown may be on top of him soon. I'm wondering, do the BMWs have to stop? Because Muttram has been running for a while out in front. Also, Davide Ricciardi has, even though he's not in a mushroom. Mushroom? Wait, what did I mean to say? BMW? Why did I say mushroom? I have no idea. Sorry, my mind is just blurting out random things today. I'm gonna blame the fact I woke up at 2 in the morning, but anyway. Phil Brown now. Right, yeah, he has caught up to the back of Lauren Lons. Driving a mushroom, goodness me. Ah, Andrew Williams has just confirmed for me that DEF, as in what G Quit said, stands for DeFore. Now I should have seen that because his three-figure abbreviation on the screen is DEF, D-E-F, for Louis DeFore. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. My apologies, G Quit. Yeah, of course it's DEF. Never mind. He's not deaf. It's important not to be with this sort of motor racing, as it very much helps to hear when to shift up a gear, shift down a gear. And luckily for the drivers, since this I've just completely lost what I was going to say. Andrew Williams says mushroom plus BMW equals mushroom. That's good. Yeah, that is good. Well done. That may have actually been what my mind was aiming for there. I have no idea. Next time I commentate, I will make sure to get more sleep than this. Oh well. 10 minutes to go in this race now. I wonder who's got fastest lap. I think it's Muttram so far, because you do get points for that. And Muttram, he's already got 3 points for qualifying, so if he gets the 3 points for fastest lap as well, he's going to build out a bit of a lead here. Now Ricciardi came into this round leading the championship by 1 point. However, Muttram of course scored 3 points in qualifying, so the gap is actually 2 in the direction of Muttram leading. But fastest lap as well, that would... Okay, so it's 4 more points for first and second. So that would be 6. And then, of course, so there would be 9 points separating Muttram and Ricciardi after this round, if they had to finish like this, and if Muttram was to keep fastest lap of the race, if indeed he does have it. I think he does anyway, but I can't be entirely sure. Lauren Lons now is caught up to Lorenzo Galuzzi. Now I'm not sure that Galuzzi's stopping. I reckon he thinks he can go the full way in his Ferrari. And we can say the same thing about Muttram's BMW Mushroom, or Ricciardi's Pantera. Little move further back as well. Upham's just been passed by Lackinen. But, oh, and that slight contact there, Lons and Galuzzi. And it looks like a misjudgment to me. I didn't see how that started, but I reckon Lons probably didn't expect Galuzzi to be going slowly into the corner. It's just Galuzzi, because he's maybe fuel saving, maybe tyre saving, I don't know. But, you know, no fault of Galuzzi's, although then again, I didn't see it, so I can't judge yet. And they have Phil Brown and Louis DeFore right on their tail with 8 minutes to go. Talviti loses a place to Ogos now. After all that time that Talviti spent trying to get past Ogos, they've swapped straight back again. But, yeah, good for Ogos. They're running in 8th position. It's been a relatively tough season for him so far. He's been running in 7th position, but I think could definitely do better. It's actually not been as bad a season as I thought, looking at his results, but anyway. Now that's Darga fighting with Van der Geest over 14th position. Christian Darga, I think he was the slowest car at Highlands, so I think he's come come quite a long way there. And Tim Muttram does pit. So Tim Muttram did pit. He exits the pit, and he's still going to have a big lead. Here comes Riccardi, and you see Muttram there in the distance, and Riccardi pits as well. So Riccardi pits. Now, is he going to stay ahead of Galuzzi? Now, I expect that these drivers ran so long... Well, actually, Galuzzi's just been passed by Lons. Now, I expect that these drivers ran so long into their races because the less fuel you have to put in the car, the shorter the pit stop is. Now, that makes a lot of sense. It's a valid strategy option. Look at Brown attacking Galuzzi now. Now, has Riccardi come out the pits? Yes, he has. So it's Muttram ahead of Riccardi. Then Lons, Galuzzi, Brown, and DeFore. Brown up the inside of Galuzzi. Through he goes. Now, can Galuzzi make the full race without stopping? He'd be the first and possibly only non-Porsche driver to do that all season, which would be quite a feat, really. Here comes DeFore. Almost jumps him, not quite. Around the outside, maybe. No, not that. It's a massive bridge on the inside there, which is always fun to walk on. You can't go right to the end, of course, because of safety reasons, but you can go to the base of it, and you get a good view of the old hairpin, of the Craner curves, and all the way up towards McLean's and Coppice. Legodin into the pits. He's going to drop down to P13. Now, what can Galuzzi do about holding off to 4 in the final 6 minutes of the race? Maybe 5.5. He's been holding over for a while now, and DeFore is up the inside. And yeah, there really wasn't much that Galuzzi could have done about that, except if he can get him back on the exit here. Galuzzi, well, he put the power down, but sadly for him, nothing doing. And Lewis DeFore gets up into 4th position. And this looks to me as if it may end up being the final order for the top 5, maybe top 6. Yeah, probably top 6, because you've got Anstey 25, 26 seconds back. Although still fighting going on throughout the order. Van der Gies passes Darga. And I'm also interested still in Talviti versus Ogos, the battle of the Daytonas. The battle of the Shelbys. And personal best by Mark Johnson there. Not a fastest lap, but personal best nonetheless. He may be pushing for fastest lap in these late stages here. Potentially. Flames spitting from the side of Tony Talviti's car. Look at that. We saw that a lot in the Grand Prix Legends pack, 1960s F1, and we're seeing that a lot now as well, 1960s sports cars. It was just the sight of the 1960s, you know, a flaming car coming at you. Sometimes more literally than at other times, but yeah, it's always spectacular. And Tony Talviti is driving well, but he's got Johnson for company. Johnson, by being one of the first drivers to pit, dropped a little way down the order. And I think that's partly because of what I mentioned. You know, he simply refueled. Maybe he was refueling for too long and lost time as a result of that. Up the inside of Talviti. That's going to turn into the outside, and that's not going to work. To pull a move through there, you have to be right up alongside your opponent, on the inside or outside. Not kind of just alongside them, but there really wasn't much else that Talviti could have done there. Or that Johnson could have done there, rather. On Talviti. But, oh, here we go. Now he's got the inside. Out of Redgate. And that looked to be one of his best opportunities yet, but not quite. But yeah, that was closer. Martikainen now passing Darga. That's P15. that they've swapped. Darga coming back at him as they go up the hill. Darga to the outside in the number 31. Now can he cut underneath Mertikainen? No. In fact, ooh, very slidey. Gets in the grass. I thought he may have been heading to the pits, but no. Look at that pusher in the background. It looks like a prototype. Good looking car, but very flat. Brown in that Porsche. Still going, or in a slightly different Porsche from the one we just saw, but still a Porsche. Still going for that fastest lap of the race. It's difficult. It's very, very difficult, but it's achievable. Phil Brown exiting Red Gate. Certainly gained quite a few positions from the strategy of not pitting. So, up the hill again goes Phil Brown. And I think we're going to have one more lap after this one, probably. And then that will be it for the day. Again, if you want to get involved, next time out, of course, in 2 weeks' time, we will be at the Nürburgring, the full 1960s Nordschleife. And that is going to be pretty much unmissable, as Johnson has now passed Helveti. Sorry we didn't see that, but yeah, Johnson through to 9th place. But as I was saying, yeah, definitely go and sign up on the site, simracingonline.co.uk, and you're almost guaranteed to be allowed to race, which is always good, of course. And almost everything we do as well is free. So, one more lap now. Tim Muttram has begun the last lap of the race. He's in the middle sector already. And we have this three-way fight emerging for 3rd place towards the end. It looks as if, after all, it's going to be a close and tense finish, as Johnson's just had a little spin there. And at the end of this race, it's all coming together at the front. Lons followed by Brown and Defoe. But I will keep an eye on Muttram. Won't miss him crossing the line. He's going to win by an astonishing, maybe 28 seconds here. That's quite something for Tim Muttram. Here we go then. Tim Muttram just has a couple of corners to go. There's the Melbourne hairpin. Sliding it out. That's exactly how Tim does it. We've barely seen any of him today. Look at the smoke from the rear tyres. Final corner now for Tim. And that was a magnificent drive from Tim Muttram. He's still driving magnificently right to the flag, because that's the kind of driver that Tim Muttram is. Spins it across the line in celebration. Tim Muttram wins and spins. Davide Ricciardi is going to be 2nd. Still the fight for 3rd place rages behind him. And that's Darga getting out the way. Don't worry about that. Can Brown or Defoe try something at the final corner? Lons covers them off. Well done, Lons. And I reckon he's going to get that. I reckon that's going to be 3rd for Lons. Ricciardi 2nd. Lons 3rd. Brown 4th. Defoe 5th. It's going to be Lorenzo Galuzzi who comes home to 6th position. Definitely his best result of the season so far. And then it's going to be Paul Anstey in 7th position. Still licking flames from the side of his car. Out of the final corner, 7th for Paul Anstey. The championship standings will be updated overnight, and if you want to have a check of those as well, those are also on the website, simracingonline.co.uk. It's an easy to use website, and you will probably be able to find it pretty fast. Johnson there, P10. Lackinen is going to be the last driver to cross the start-finish line in P11, although he won't be the last of the finishers, as several drivers were laps down. So that's the lot then. that is all we've got from the Nürburgring, and the order was Muttram, followed by Ricciardi, Lons, Brown, Defoe, Galuzzi, Anstey, Argos, Talviti, and Johnson. Muttram takes the lead of the championship with that. Then it's Lackinen, Upham, Lagoden, Van der Geest, Matikainen, Dumalas, Dauga, Lacko and Drake, and shout out to absolutely everyone. All 19 drivers finished this race. It was a very, very clean event, very, very good. And if we can have another round like this in 2 weeks' time at the Nürburgring, then it's going to be really quite something. Thank you all for tuning in and for watching, and we will see you all in the next one. See you in 2 weeks.